Hello, welcome to this session today. We're going to talk about test question analysis dealing with joint tenancy. These test writers, in particular, we're talking about Pearson VUE, can formulate these test questions to make you select an answer that seems right, but it's not the correct answer. So I'm going to kind of expose this light to you and let you see, using the subject matter, joint tenancy. This is a favorite one they like to use. My name is John Ensing. I'm a Louisiana and Florida licensed real estate instructor. And my specialty is to teach one-on-one private tutoring to you, the student, to prep for the exam. Non-credited hours. So if you need help before your exam in common law, real estate calculations, civil code, etc., you can always go to privateturingsession.com. That's privateturingsession.com and schedule an appointment. Or you can email me, john.ensing@gmail.com. Okay, let's dive into this session. Here we go. Now, here's what the question reads. Two buyers purchased a 3-story building, took title as legal joint tenants. There's a clue there. 2 clues so far. I got 2 buyers, so I know I'm talking about co-ownership. They purchased together a real estate property, 3-story building, and they took title as legal joint tenants. Hey, I know that's joint tenancy. One died, testate. The surviving owner now owns the building what? Okay, so let's take a look at this, and I'm going to show you the play on words that you got to be careful with, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we have to understand what co-ownership is. Remember, 2 or more owners. Okay, in common law, you're familiar with tenancy in common, and of course, joint tenancy, tenancy by the entirety, community property, all forms of co-ownership in the common law content. But we're going to concentrate today on what joint tenancy is, okay? So joint tenancy is when you got 2 or more owners that own, now pay attention to this, under the right of survivorship. That is a principle that goes with joint tenancy in common law, okay? What does that mean, under the right of survivorship? So if I've got 2 owners that are going into business together, let's say they're 2 buyers, and let's just use this example here. They're buying this 3-story building. They each are going to own 50% each, okay? They took title as legal joint tenants, and I'm going to show you the 4 unities that need to be established to establish the joint tenancy. But it gives you one of them here. It says they took title on the deed. They're both owners 50-50, equal portions, okay? So it's 2 or more owners that own under the right of survivorship. The right of survivorship means 50-50 if B dies, okay, so B dies, then A is the remaining owner and gets 100%. In other words, A is going to absorb B's 50%. That's the law under joint tenancy when it comes to the right of survivorship. It can't be willed off. It can't be done through the law of descent and distribution of that person's ownership interest who died, okay? And again, here's a play on words. And we're going to look at this a little bit later. One died, testate. So let's go back and use the example here. Under the right of survivorship, A and B, 2 buyers, purchased a 3-story building. They took title as legal joint tenants. In this example right here, one died, testate. In other words, B died. Testate means B had a will. Okay, B had a will, which means it was going to someone else. But the law under the right of survivorship trumps a will for his interest in this case, and A, who's the surviving member, absorbs that 50%. So nobody else gets it, even if there was a will. Okay, so you have to watch that play on words. Okay, so A and B own 50% each. B dies, again, testate with a will, but A gets 100% ownership, and which basically absorbs 50% of B's ownership. Okay. Now, the 4 unities you want to be familiar with: possession, which is ownership; interest. All the co-owners have to have equal shares. In this case, there's only 2, 50-50. If there's 3, it's got to be 33 and a third, 33 and a third, 33 and a third. If it's 4, 25% each. They must be equal shares. They all got to be at closing together. So they all have to be and sign and receive title to the property together at the act of sale. And they all have to be on the deed. Okay, so they all have legal title as equal shares. In this case, we're talking about 50-50. Okay, now, again, let's go back to the problem. Two buyers, each owns 50% as joint tenants. That's what they're called, joint tenants, as it says in the problem. Remember, under the right of survivorship, if one dies, which B died, even with a will, testate, and I'm going to show you the play on words here, the remaining owner absorbs that interest. There is no wills, there's no descent of distribution that goes through the succession laws to any heirs that may be to the property. Okay, it's the surviving member of this co-ownership that gets 100% ownership now. Okay, now because you've only got one owner left, you got to ask yourself, is there a co-ownership that exists if B dies? The answer is no. There is no co-ownership no more. There is no joint tenancy anymore. There are no joint tenants because A now owns 100%, which is called inseveralty. Okay, so answer C is the correct answer. Now, let's look at the play on words. Okay, I'm going to bring up a few things for you. Two buyers, we understand that as co-ownership. Legal joint tenants. Okay, one died, testate. Okay, so there's three clues. The two big clues is legal joint tenants and one died, testate. Right, now listen, pay attention to this very quickly. Two buyers purchased a 3-story building, took title as legal joint tenants, one died, testate. If you read that too quick, the only thing that really pops out to you is legal joint tenants. That's the only thing that really comes out at you, because you look at the answer and you see joint tenancy, and there's a tendency to go after that answer. Okay, it's just the human nature of us. We see legal joint tenants and we see joint tenancy, boom. But we have to read the entire question and the statement that's made, because it says one died, testate, which means a will, which could be another selection of answers, which is answer D, ownership through a will. Okay, so we know that if someone dies testate and they own property in severalty outright, in other words, no co-ownership, then there's a will, then it goes to the surviving members of the will, okay, whoever's in the will. But here we have legal joint tenants, and what really stands out is the fact that people will select joint tenancy because it goes together, and you can see that that's a wrong answer. Okay, so just in review, remember, in this case, we had two co-owners. One dies, so in this case, it was owner A absorbs 50% of B, which gives him 100% by himself, which means there's no co-ownership, and the owner owns the building now in severalty. Doesn't own it in joint tenancy, doesn't own it through a will. So you got to watch the play on words, because they try to trick you so you can match words. One dies, testate, you know that's a will. So you're going, oh, okay, that could work. Legal joint tenants definitely stands out. Joint tenancy, that can work. And you're not getting the big picture of what the joint tenancy principle and law is. It's the right of survivorship. I've got two, one remaining, they own in severalty. There is no co-ownership, okay? Hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed this session. Again, privateturingsessions.com. If you need some help cleaning up some stuff, we can do some one-on-one training. You're going to love your real estate career. It's a fun time. And again, if you need help again, give me a shout, privateturingsessions.com. Bye now.